Japan has a rich cultural history. Though this makes for great food, beautiful dress, and fascinating festivals, we cannot forget the Japanese tradition of kaidan, or the telling of ghost stories. Japanese ghost stories are often told in the middle of August to chill the blood during the hot season. Much like English countries, Japan has developed their own urban legends since the dawn of the 20th century. I am not Japanese or speak Japanese in any way, shape, or form, so if I screw up any of this pronunciations, don't butcher me in the comments too much, please. The following here is a list of the 10 most frightening Japanese urban legends I could find. Number 10. Toroi no Hinako-san, Hinako of the Toilet. This legend is a lot like the Western story of Bloody Mary. Also, if you're interested in Japanese urban myths, then you'll likely discover here that many of these tales happen in the girls' bathroom. Hinako is said to be the ghost of a schoolgirl who haunts the third stall in the girls' bathroom. In order to summon Hinako, you have to enter the girls' bathroom, stand at the third stall, and then knock 3 times. After that, you must call out, "Are you there, Hinako-san?" If you hear, "I'm here," then you can open the door. If done correctly, you will open the door to find a schoolgirl in a red skirt. There are other versions to this story, depending on which prefecture that the story originates. Some stories claim that you'll not see Hinako in full, but rather catch a glimpse of her pale, sometimes bloody hand peer over the stall. There is even a version that claims that if you open the door, you'll find a 3-headed lizard that impersonates the voice of little girls. Overall, this is the least frightening urban legend on the list. Number 9. Akamanto, the Red Cloak. Japan has a lot of creepy bathroom stories, and Akamanto is no exception. Legend says that if you're alone in the last toilet stall, you might hear a voice ask, "Red paper or blue paper?" If you reply red paper, the bathroom door will burst open and reveal a cloaked figure who will then slice you in half, allowing for the blood to stain your clothing red. If you reply blue paper, the cloaked figure will strangle you until your face turns blue. If you try to outsmart Akamanto by suggesting another color, it will just drag you to the netherworld. The only correct answer is no paper, in which case Akamanto will just leave you alone. Number 8. Kuchisakeonna, the slit-mouthed woman. Now this is a particularly well-known one that it's becoming more popular on TV. This story is particularly scary though due to the fact that there are actual police reports of Kuchisakeonna terrorizing children in Japan, Korea, and China as far back as the 1970s. The Kuchisakeonna sports a Glasgow smile hidden beneath an inconspicuous surgical mask. The story behind her terrifying grin has been hotly debated. Some legends say that her face was mutilated as a result of botched plastic surgery. Some claim that the earliest rendition of the story, however, appeared in the Han period, which said that a samurai slit his wife's lips because she had been vain and subsequently unfaithful. Regardless of the Kuchisakeonna's origin, she is said to approach young people at dusk. She will walk up and ask, "Am I pretty?" If you say yes, she will take off her mask to reveal her slit mouth. Then she will ask, "Am I pretty now?" If you reply yes, the Kuchisakeonna will take a pair of scissors and cut your mouth to look just like hers. If you reply no, she will simply just cut you in half. If you try to run, she will appear in every direction that you turn. Legend says that the only way to escape the Kuchisakeonna is to reply, "You are average." Others claim that the Kuchisakeonna can be confused if you throw candy or fruit at her feet. Another report suggests that she will become confused and walk away if you ask, "Is the child pretty?" or "Am I pretty?" Regardless, perhaps it's safest to be home by dusk. Number 7. Teka Teka. Japan loves onomatopoeia. Many stories and labels are named by the sounds that they make. For this reason, Teka Teka should scare you. Can you guess why her name is Teka Teka? Teka Teka is named after the sound that long fingernails make as they walk on the ground. The story begins with a girl who somehow ends up sprawled across the train tracks. There are many versions as to why she ends up on the tracks. Sometimes she falls asleep on the tracks, other times she's pushed. Regardless, she eventually meets her end on the train tracks. The train is said to have rolled over her body and cut her in half. It is believed that the girl came back from the dead as a vengeful ghost. Teka Teka is known to appear normal at first, with her assumed legs hidden by a wall or a table. But then, the unsuspecting victim gets too close to realize that she has no legs. She is then said to attack people with a scythe and cut them in half. In an alternate version, she stalks bathroom stalls. If you are in the stall and you hear, "Where are my legs?" you ought to answer at the Meishin Railway, otherwise, she will cut you in half. One thing is for sure, if you hear the Teka Teka of fingernails on the floor, you should probably run. Number 6. Kunekune, the meandering. On the internet, English-speaking users have created myths through creepypastas. Other countries have as well. The most popular Japanese creepypasta is the Kunekune. Starting around 2003, people began to report strange sights in rice fields and gardens. People reported humanoid wisps of white, seemingly fabric-like appendages wiggling in the distance. On rare occasions, people have seen the Kunekune over the open sea. It often appears blowing in the wind, even if there's no wind. The scary part is that if you see the Kunekune, you should turn around immediately. Do not go near it and definitely do not touch it. It is said that if a person tries to get too close to the Kunekune, they will go insane. And worse, if they touch it, they will die straight on the spot. The best solution is to ignore the Kunekune, because it will then simply ignore you back. The problem is, how can you ignore such a thing? Number 5. Gozu, the cow's head. This legend is uncomfortable because you never actually learn the story. How? Well, you see, the story is called the cow's head, but nobody actually knows the story because all those who know the story eventually die of fright. It's said that some fragments of the story still exist, but the full story is too terrifying to try to piece together. Allegedly, there was a school teacher who came into possession of the original story. One day, he and his class were traveling by bus for a school trip. To pass the time, the teacher decided to tell the students the story of the cow's head. He began the story like any Japanese folklore. At first, the students were interested, but soon they grew uncomfortable with the subject matter. As the teacher neared the climax of the story, some students cried out in protest. They screamed for him to stop, but he seemed to be in a trance-like state as he progressed through the story. As the children held their ears and called for help, the teacher's eyes glazed over as he concluded the tale of the cow's head. When he came to, the teacher was shocked to find that the bus had landed itself in a ditch. The students had fainted and the bus driver was left slumped over the wheel, frothing at the mouth. Whatever happened to the teacher and the students is unknown, but one thing is for sure, none of them retold the story of the cow's head. Number 4. Dream School. There was a boy named Kay who suddenly found himself wandering around a school that he did not recognize. As he ventured through the corridors, he grew more and more confused. It was as though, no matter which direction he took, the hallway would loop back around to where he began. Kay felt the need to find another route, so he kept down the hallway, turned left, and then left again. He soon found himself in the music room. When he opened the door to the hallway, he found himself in the girls' bathroom. Nothing made sense within this mysterious school. Then Kay heard the clock chime. He looked up to see the clock's hands swinging back and forth like a pendulum. Then Kay heard. It was the sound of footsteps approaching him. Fearful, Kay turned to a set of stairs that led to the 4th floor. However, as Kay climbed up, he felt himself go down. When he reached the top, Kay had found himself on the 1st floor. Ahead of him, he saw where teachers kept the classroom keys. There was a large broken glass box which contained what Kay assumed was an important key, yet the key was missing. All that was left was a note that read, "Key is in room 108. Kay could hear the footsteps grow near. He instinctively knew which way to go, so he ran down the hallway and away from whoever was coming for him. He then reached room 108. Kay opened the door to discover that the lights were not working. He closed the door behind him and tried to pick out the details. All that he could see was the silhouette of desks, chairs, and book bags. Not long after, Kay heard the footsteps again. Then, whoever it was, banged on the door. Though he was afraid, Kay opened the door. His heart nearly stopped as Kay stood face to face with the most gruesome thing he had ever seen. A mess of disfigured student limbs, torsos, and heads coagulated into one big, fumbling, ungracefully dancing creature. The form swayed back and forth as Kay witnessed the countless dead expressions of boys and girls brought together by the mysterious school. He screamed, then, realizing it was all a dream. But Kay never woke up. To this day, he still wanders the dream school, unable to escape, always running away from that creature. Legend says that if after a week you still remember the story of the dream school, then you too will join Kay and never wake up. Number 3. Akai Heya, the Redroom Curse. The story of the Redroom Curse goes that there is an alleged internet window pop-up that asks a target, "Do you like?" in a childlike voice. If the target closes the pop-up, it will pop up again, asking again, "Do you like?" in a more distorted voice. If the user continues to close the pop-ups, it'll eventually change the question to, "Do you like red?" Again, if the user continues to close the pop-up will eventually complete its question and ask, "Do you like the red room?" A website will then pop up containing a list of people's names. The target's name is also listed. Suddenly, the target will feel a presence behind them. When the target is discovered, it'll seem as though they committed suicide, after having painted the room in which they were found red with their own blood. Yes, it's pretty scary, but take solace in the fact that it is just an internet legend. However, real life can be stranger than fiction sometimes. This particular flash animation was a favorite of the killer in the infamous Sasebo slashing. The Sasebo slashing was especially horrific due to the fact that the killer was a 12-year-old junior high school classmate of the victim. Number 2. Tomino no Jigoku, Tomino's Hell. I'm not going to read this one out loud to you, because even if it's just a legend, I'd rather not test it. But here, what you're seeing is the famous cursed poem translated for you. Tomino's Hell is a poem written by Yamota Inohiko in 1919. Though it is unclear how the poem gained notoriety for being cursed, it is said that if you read the poem out loud, bad things will happen to you. Most recently, it is said that reading the poem out loud will ensure certain death. It is safe to read it in your head, however, but who knows for sure. Number 1. The Girl from the Gap. This story is number 1 because it taps into our collective fear of small cracks, tiny places, and tight crawl spaces. The girl from the gap can be spotted within any of the aforementioned locations. This is because the girl in the gap is a ghost that haunts every possible nook and cranny wherein she can hide. Legend says that if you make direct eye contact with the girl in the gap, she will ask you, "Want to play hide and seek?" If you choose to say yes, just be aware to keep away from all the cracks that she resides in. And remember not to dangle any limbs between your floor and bed tonight. That's 10 creepy Japanese urban legends that hopefully you've never heard of before. If you enjoyed this, let me know in the comments below and any other urban legends that you might know of. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.